Hi, I'm Andy the Palm Springs linguist. I just drove from Palm Springs, California, all the way to Jackson Hole, Wyoming, this uniquely American Western town. Today I'm going to visit the town and explore the question, what makes a language specifically an American language? First, I'm going to set some ground rules to guide the discussion. For the purposes of this video, what counts as an American language? Living languages that have been spoken continuously on U.S. land since prior to the land becoming the United States. Languages that originated inside the United States. For the purposes of this video, what doesn't count? Languages that were brought to the land after it becoming the United States. Only distinct languages count, not dialects of languages. This excludes important systems of communication such as African American Vernacular English. Despite the fact that African American Vernacular English is as American of a language as they come, linguistically it is a dialect of English, not a separate language. Yes, I know, some of you will take issue with my inclusion or exclusion of specific systems of communication. And that's understandable, since there can be a fine line between dialect and language. My rule of thumb will be, are the two systems of communication usually mutually intelligible? And yes, that too can be subjective. After all, you are an English speaker. Do you understand this German sentence?
Das Bier ist bitter.
It means the beer is bitter. Did you get that? You likely got the gist of it. So, then, is German mutually intelligible with English? Well, let's listen to another sample of German to see if it's mutually intelligible with English.
Ihr Englisch wird Ihnen nicht helfen, diesen deutschen Satz zu verstehen. Wenn du es verstehst, dann sprichst du Deutsch.
I'm guessing that's a hard no. Speaking of the German language, it is often said that German almost became the official language of the United States, and that the German language only lost by a single vote to English. Were we really only one vote away from all of us Americans speaking German? 9. No, that's simply a persistent myth. It appears that the real story may be that a group of German immigrants in 1794 requested that the House of Representatives consider translating some laws into German. The House debated it, but the proposal was ultimately rejected. Making documents available in German in addition to English, which didn't even happen, is a far cry from German becoming the official language of the United States. Not only did German not become the official language, neither did English. No, really. English is not the official language of the United States. There is no official language of the USA at the federal level, not even English. However, English is an official language at the state level in 32 states, as well as all U.S. territories. However, there are 7 states and territories that have official languages beyond just English. In South Dakota, the Sioux language is an official language. In Hawaii, Hawaiian is an official language. On the Hawaiian island of Niihau, Hawaiian is the primary spoken language. English comes second on this unique island. In Alaska, there are about 20 indigenous languages that are official languages. In Guam, Chamorro is an official language. In the Northern Mariana Islands, both Chamorro and Carolinian are also official languages. In American Samoa, Samoan is an official language. In Puerto Rico, not only is Spanish an official language alongside English, Spanish is actually the more prominent language. In Puerto Rico, English comes second. Spanish comes first. Regardless of whether a language is official or not, what languages are American languages? Spanish. And I don't just mean Puerto Rico. What? Are you thinking Spanish was brought to the United States by immigrants? While that is true, Spanish was already here. Parts of Arizona, California, New Mexico, Texas, Colorado, Nevada, and Utah were all part of Mexico before they became part of the United States. My paternal grandfather's family was one such family. My grandfather's first language was Spanish. They had been in Texas back when Texas was part of Mexico, before it became part of the United States. The truth is, my grandfather's family never did cross the border. The border crossed them. French has been spoken in Louisiana since before Louisiana was purchased by the United States. The United States is also the birthplace to multiple sign languages, the most commonly used being American Sign Language. American Sign Language is not related to English. It is a completely distinct language with its own distinct grammar and all the aspects of a full-fledged language. American Sign Language is not a variation of English. Creole languages. The United States is the origin of multiple Creole languages. A pidgin is a new language created when people of different linguistic backgrounds who do not share a common language must communicate with each other. A pidgin's vocabulary and grammar is a mixture of the languages available to the group of speakers. A pidgin is limited and is not yet a full-fledged language. However, when these speakers pass on this new language to their children, then the pidgin turns into a Creole, and the next generation of speakers fills in the linguistic gaps, making it a full-fledged language. In most cases in the US, English was the lexifier, meaning that the majority of the vocabulary comes from English. However, much of the grammar and other linguistic features come from the other languages. Creole languages are largely not comprehensible to English speakers, despite sharing much vocabulary. This happened on the sugarcane plantations in the Hawaiian Islands. Native Hawaiian speakers, native English speakers, and immigrant plantation workers from a variety of countries including Portugal, Japan, Korea, the Philippines, and China together created a pidgin that a generation later turned into Hawaiian Creole English. Ironically, Hawaiian Creole English is known locally in Hawaiian as pidgin, but that is a misnomer. Hawaiian Creole English is not a pidgin at all, but rather a full-fledged Creole language. Even though Hawaiian and English are the official languages of the state of Hawaii, there are far more speakers of Hawaiian Creole English than of Hawaiian itself. This phenomenon also happened on the Sea Islands and the coastal regions of South Carolina, Georgia, and small areas of neighboring North Carolina and Florida. The Gullah language is a Creole that was influenced by English and languages of Central and West Africa, spoken by the Gullah people, African Americans in the southern region. This phenomenon also happened on the U.S. Virgin Islands with Virgin Islands Creole English. While most American Creole languages relied predominantly on English to provide their lexicons, Louisiana Creole is an American language that relied heavily on French to provide the language's vocabulary. Unfortunately, there are fewer and fewer speakers of Louisiana Creole, causing it to be in critical danger of becoming extinct. If you measure how American a language is by how long it has been spoken on the land, now called the United States, then there are many Native American languages that are the most American of all languages. They have been spoken on this land long before this land became the United States. Native American languages are quite diverse and belong to multiple language families. Sadly, too many Native American languages have become extinct. Others are on the verge of becoming extinct. However, there are some that are still actively spoken, and efforts are underway to save some of them from extinction. For example, there are dual language immersion programs in English and Navajo, as well as English and Cherokee, so that children can grow up bilingual. Both Navajo and Cherokee have radio stations that broadcast in their respective languages. The original movie Star Wars 4, A New Hope from 1977 was even translated and dubbed into Navajo in 2013. While English is clearly the most spoken language in the United States, it is by far not the only American language. The U.S. is rich in linguistic diversity. Now I want to hear from you. What American language did I miss? Other than English, what language do you think of as being part of the United States? Put your thoughts in the comments section below. Discover language you were never taught in school while exploring the California desert and beyond. If you enjoyed this episode, please click like and subscribe right now to not miss any future episodes of the Palm Springs Linguist. I'm Andy the Palm Springs Linguist. I hope you enjoyed Jackson Hole, Wyoming as much as I did, and that you gained some insight into American languages. The Grand Teton National Park is just a short drive from here, so I'm going to say goodbye from here, but I invite you to join me for a drive to the national park.